Update: am I the butthole for not letting my kids wear pajamas? Original post: my daughter and I got back from the doctor a few hours ago, so I thought I'd update everyone, as my last post got a pretty large response. I'm a good dad, that's something I'm sure of. I love my kids, I try very hard to be a good parent, and I know I've done that. A few people commented on my post saying I was ruining my kids' lives, etc., which is not true in the slightest. That being said, I was somewhat wrong about the pajamas. As some people mentioned, changing out of pajamas acts as a reset for them and helps them acknowledge that they're starting their day. This is why my wife and I started the rule in the first place. But obviously things change over time. Shortly after getting my butthole title, I went to talk things out with my daughter, intending on figuring out a way to change the pajama policy so that we were all happy with it. I re-explained the reasoning behind the rule, shifting mindsets in the morning, and she ended up crying and told me that changing her mindset didn't matter because she can't stop falling asleep anyway. I asked her what she meant, and she explained that she's been falling asleep multiple times a day, even when she's changed out of her pajamas. My wife is close friends with a somnologist, so we set up an appointment and he spoke with my daughter. He recommended that she go for a polysomnogram and MSLT, sleep tests. And it turns out, she has narcolepsy. We're currently discussing treatment options with her doctors to see how we can help her, but it's a big relief for her to know that there's a reason behind why she's been struggling with sleep. As for the pajamas, we sat down as a family and discussed it together. We all decided we want to keep the rule, but reworked it so the kids can eat breakfast in their pajamas, as long as they're changed and starting online school on time. Also, a lot of people asked why my wife and I don't limit my kids' screen time. We limit my son's, as he's a bit younger, but my daughters are extremely good at limiting their own. They're both bookworms and understand that too much screen time is harmful, so they don't spend a lot of time on their devices anyway, so my wife and I have never felt the need to step in. Web link. Great to hear you have a formal diagnosis for your daughter while she is still young, Up. I had a friend with narcolepsy and she had a few nasty accidents, such as having an episode and falling downstairs and going under in the bathroom while cleaning her teeth and hitting her head on the vanity, before they got her stabilized. Even then she was never able to drive. Some people think narcolepsy is a bit of a joke, but it can be serious. Hopefully your daughter's case is relatively mild. It's horrible, it really is. I essentially got narcolepsy as part of a fun post-viral package and it was absolute hell. I was trying to do a master's at the time. Went eventually, but totally understand the poor girl breaking down in tears. I was finishing my master's, too, when I started to experience cataplexy. I'd had symptoms, sleep paralysis, sleep maintenance insomnia, vivid dreams, as long as I can remember. Driving became such a nightmare, heavy traffic is a trigger, and I think it got worse over time until I developed cataplexy. It's such a pain. I was never able to enjoy things like clubbing because I just wanted to be in bed by 10. I thought I was just lazy and prone to daydreaming. I think I have ADHD as well. Teens get force-fed the narrative that they are inherently lazy, so I can imagine how extra frustrating it would be to develop while young. Going to be honest, this makes me a little paranoid, haha. I get occasional sleep paralysis, regular insomnia, vivid dreams, and occasionally experience hypnagogic episodes. Maybe I need to do a sleep study. Well, F my life, because ditto. If you can afford it and feel safe, I recommend it because learning more about yourself is never going to be a bad thing. I need to get a new one done. My last, they put me in a room next to a crying baby and told me that I didn't sleep enough for a proper sample. True. I guess my main concern is that other than the insomnia and vivid dreams, none of my symptoms are consistent. So like I'll go in, not have a hypnagogic episode or sleep paralysis, so they'll say, oh, nothing to worry about here. I don't know, laughing out loud. Another narcoleptic here. I'm much better than I was 5 to 6 years ago when I was given medication that actually helped. Still have daytime sleepiness and very, very odd dreams, but cataplexy almost never happens now. I hope your daughter is feeling better now she has a diagnosis. Hopefully she will be able to get medication that helps soon too. I'm sure there are day parties / clubbing you can go to. I'd be checking that out pronto, dancer. I aged out a few years ago, lol. There may be now, but I don't know about 10 to 15 years back. This is why I really wish sleep studies were more affordable. In an ideal world, everyone would get one. I spent years thinking I was just always tired because of my depression. My psych had me get a sleep study done. Turns out I have sleep apnea. I'm so glad you got a diagnosis for her. I hope things improve from here. I spent years thinking I was just always tired because of my depression. My psych had me get a sleep study done. Turns out I have sleep apnea. Yeah, I hear ya. I spent the first 30 years of my life thinking I was unmotivated. Turns out everyone doesn't feel 100% exhausted all the time. I also have sleep apnea. I guess the recurring nightmares about suffocating should have clued me in, but my parents telling me I was lazy really had me convinced the problem was that I wasn't trying hard enough. Yup. Checking in with severe sleep apnea since I was 23. I was so exhausted I was sleeping/napping close to 15 hours a day, and the lack of motivation was debilitating. Holy crap. This is my life. Holy crap. I can't wait to talk to my doctor. Ask to test your iron levels as well. That can cause exhaustion. Also have them test for thyroid dysfunction. That can cause all kinds of weird things. Wow, I found my people. I thought that everyone couldn't stay awake for an entire day without falling asleep, or that hours-long naps after work and school were normal. My machine has changed my life. Everyone should get tested. Whoa. Edit, your comment just made me realize this might be my issue. My so thinks I have sleep apnea, and yeah, I am always effing tired and have brain fog and stuff. For years I've been like this, so it's not just COVID depression or anything. And speaking of, I've been in therapy for years and finally feel like I'm making a lot of headway regarding depression. Over the past half year or so I really have gotten my crap together and don't feel depressed as I used to. But I'm still tired all the time. I'm going to schedule a doctor appointment right away. Thank you. I finally was able to get treatment for my hypersomnia last year. I have depression, which is why no one believed me for years that it was idiopathic, even though I told them it's been going on for as long as I can remember, long before I was depressed, although I'm sure depression doesn't make it better. I'm so happy Original Poster took his daughter seriously and got her tested. As a kid who fell asleep all the time and had horrible anxiety for all of school and to college because of it, you have saved her a lifetime of frustration and embarrassment. I got my narcolepsy diagnosis in my late 20s, wish it had been sooner. I wish you and your family all the best and hope your daughter can find a safe and reliable medication to help her with her daytime sleepiness. Not the butthole now. Also, similar sleep-related problem, I was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea during college. I didn't randomly fall asleep all the time, but I was at the last brink of exhaustion constantly. Slept over 12 hours a day. Sleep disorders F you up. My boss got in a car accident because of it. She wasn't diagnosed previously. It's a very scary reality. An amazing amount of problems can just disappear when people are willing to actually just sit down and talk about them. I also want to applaud Original Poster on not reacting like it's because you are lazy/you don't do anything when daughter told him about falling asleep all the time. Edit, thanks user a footnote for the award. Reddit link. I agree. I have always had issues with tidiness, organization and mess. I begged my family to listen to me when I said I literally couldn't tidy up like everyone else, even said to my dad several times it's like my brain doesn't see it until someone points it out to me, and I tried so many times to explain to my parents how hard I found it. I was a very bright child, all top sets, academics came easy to me, and I was well behaved in school and showed multiple times I was a hard worker. But my parents simply labeled me as lazy, careless and disobedient. It wasn't until I moved in with my current partner, who noticed my struggles but is endlessly supportive and understanding, until we realized I wasn't entirely neurotypical. It turns out, I'm not lazy or careless, and I have ADHD. I can't help but wonder how my life and relationships would have turned out had my parents listened to me in the same way the Original Poster listened to his daughter. Yes, kudos to Original Poster for actually listening to his daughter and helping her. I'm sorry you went through that, and I can totally empathize. I've suffered from migraines all my life, and when I was in high school my mom got me some help. She was there in the room, as I was still a minor, when the doctor told us that the medications could cause drowsiness. Fast forward several weeks in and she couldn't understand why I would fall asleep as soon as I got home. Forget the fact that it took everything in my being to stay awake during school and to stay awake to finish my homework. I kept telling her at the meds, but she wouldn't have it. I was lazy. I didn't want to do my chores. She did not believe me. I was so fed up with her calling me lazy that I stopped my meds altogether and just dealt with the debilitating migraines. Funny enough, the migraines slowed down after I moved out. Exactly. I'm also wondering why so many people here are reacting so strongly to the no pajamas post-breakfast, after the new adaptation rule. This is literally an exercise given by psychologists for depressed and other diagnosis patients. I understand doing it if you're depressed and the mentality shift that just showering or getting clean can provide. But if you don't have any psychological issues of that nature, it's kind of pointless, to be honest. I have a bit of an anxiety condition, and honestly, being able to wear PJs all day has a good effect on me. The days where I veg out and don't feel like I have to be so put together does wonders for my anal retentiveness. Makes me feel like it's okay to just exist and not have to run at 100 miles per hour all the time. I got diagnosed in high school, very noticeable change with meds. But my parents still see me as the pre-therapy/meds me anyway. They consider me a lazy liar. I lied to escape punishment for things because I don't know was punished, and lectured more than lying, even though I haven't lied to them or lived in a mess in almost 20 years. Don't worry about what might have been, because that doesn't actually exist. Be grateful for figuring something out about yourself and pay it forward by continuing to support or encourage others to confront the whys behind their own perceived flaws. Perhaps including your parents. Mine are still dicks about it, even though my dad was also diagnosed with the same, after me, but everyone has the potential for self-improvement. Congrats on the diagnosis. If I drink orange juice too soon before or after meds, they don't work as well, by the way. Jumping on this comment to mention how great it was that original poster seemed to be using this sub for perspective before talking things out with his daughter, rather than posting just for spiteful validation. I'm not saying that seeking validation is always a bad thing, but Opsuse was refreshing for me to see. Considering how many posts you see where people will aggressively defend their corner no matter how many people vote against them, it is really nice to see someone ask in good faith and actually thinking about people's responses. I agree. It really can be good to get an outsider's opinion as to whether or not you're being reasonable. He sounds like a really great dad in that he followed up and talked with his daughter as well. I agree. The original poster and follow-up were both very thoughtful and balanced and compassionate. It's hard to write to not push your own perspective. That sounds like a great compromise. I hope your daughter feels better now she understands she has a medical condition affecting her sleep. Agreed. It can be such a relief to realize why something is happening to you, but now for the relief from that. My little sister has narcolepsy and has managed it well with Xyrem, but everyone's path is different. The Narcolepsy Network is also a great resource. Exactly this. ADHD is fairly well known and widely talked about now, but it wasn't when I was 15 back in high school. I couldn't figure out why it was impossible to pay attention in class. I tried so hard, but the simplest thing would distract me. I'd do something as basic as looking at the date on the whiteboard, and my brain would go off. Oh, today's the 9th? It's Julie's birthday next week. I wonder what I should get her. She loves the color blue. Oh, the sky was such a pretty blue shade today. I wish I could paint it. Maybe I should take painting lessons. Etc. By the time I'd snap back to reality, we were already several chapters in. I thought it was my fault. That I wasn't trying hard enough. I'd stick my thighs with pencils trying to keep myself on track and paying attention. Then, my dad noticed and set me up with a psychiatrist. I was diagnosed with ADHD, and prescribed medication. The feeling of relief you get from finally knowing what's wrong is one of the greatest weights lifted off your chest. If you think you or your child might have something going on, please seek help from a medical professional. It can only improve the situation. I also have ADHD, and honestly that diagnosis was life-changing. Knowing why I was struggling made me feel a lot better about myself. I used to constantly compare myself to my peers, and just think I was an idiot. Now that I know we are not on the same playing field, I can spend more time doing things and less time hating myself. Even without meds, The diagnosis is helpful because I finally knew where to look for coping skills. That made a huge difference. Knowing to look for ADHD-friendly methods for getting things done made everything so much easier. I was able to find strategies that were actually helpful. My diagnosis also made my mom's life better because it made her realize that she also likely has ADHD. So she got a lot of the same benefits I did. Overall, my diagnosis was a net positive. I encourage parents to take their kids' health concerns seriously. The only direction it can lead you is up. Perfectly said. It's also so nice when parents take your diagnosis seriously and try to work with you on solutions. My dad instantly got on board, but my mom, after all these years, still hasn't. She's one of those natural remedy people, and thinks seeing a psychologist/psychiatrist/therapist is a waste of money. She's told me countless times to just pray, and God will help you. I, myself, am religious, but she's delusional. As you can imagine, my relationship with my dad is amazing, but my mom and I fight constantly. Please believe your children when they tell you they're struggling. Please believe medical professionals when they make a diagnosis or offer treatment. You're not a bad parent if your child needs extra help, but you are a bad parent if you actively refuse/deny your child that help they so desperately need. Mind if I ask where you found those methods? I didn't get my diagnosis until last year, 21, now 22, and have been struggling to find anything that works. I've had a lot of luck in ADHD-specific Facebook groups and subreddits, but the Attitude website has also been helpful. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.